The college district had just been organized. We were in the first class, and other colleges had radio stations, and we just felt that the community had just approved $10 million bond to build this campus. It just seemed right that it should have a radio station. And when we talked to the management, the administration, there was one planned for this campus, but they hadn't given any attention to actually having one at the original makeshift school that we were in. But we prevailed and convinced them that it would be good to do one there, as long as the equipment could be moved, and we purchased equipment that could be moved. So they let us go ahead with it. The original call letters that we contemplated was KRFC Radio Foothill College, because at the time the terminology junior college was being downplayed in favor of community college. So we applied for RFC, but that was, the FCC wasn't comfortable with that. It was too close to KFRC, which was the call letters, of course, of our AM station. So they asked us to come up with something else, so we had to come up with the KFJC call letters. And we applied originally for 88.5 megahertz, but there was somebody else apparently too close to that, so we ended up at 89.7.
Now, what kind of programming would likely be on KFJC in the early years?
Oh, in the very earliest years, we had very typical, we had some which we'd call popular music, classical music, we had opera, we had educational lectures, we had some, quote, hi-fi programs. That was big stuff in those days. Remember, we're talking 1959, and hi-fi was just coming on really strong at that point. So we, of course, in the FM band, you could do hi-fi that you couldn't do in AM. And so we had a lot of fun doing some very interesting, everything was on records at that point in time, and tapes, but mostly records. And we did, the 1812 Overture with all of its canons and all was big stuff to do on radio. It was pretty mundane compared to today's programming.
Was there any original programming coming on? Or?
Yes, we did lectures. We had Margaret Mead that we recorded and played her lecture. She spoke to the student body, and we had some good stuff, but it was very different.
Would you say that the dominant programming was maybe public services?
Public service, student service. We had music to study by, which was elevator music by today's standards. Just quiet background music that you could study by. That was pretty much perhaps my thinking, because I could never listen to music or too much distraction when I studied. So it was always pretty mundane stuff. At any rate, it was a service to the community, as we made announcements about public events and so forth. Yeah.
So how long were you at the station?
Well, I was station manager for one semester. Spent my first year at Foothill putting the station together. We applied for our license in February of 1958 and got it later that year, went on the air in October of '59. But getting all the equipment, getting the budget approved by the Board of Trustees and so forth. Our first budget was for a kilowatt station, would have been about $25,000, and Dr. Flint nearly swallowed his tongue when I brought that to him. He said that would never get by, that maybe if he could bring that down some. So we went out and looked at used equipment, and that was only $20,000. Well, he didn't swallow his tongue, but he almost did. And we ended up at $4,000, and the Board of Trustees granted us $4,500 so we could buy some records.
How big of a signal was it?
Pardon?
How big of a signal was KFJC?
Well, we had a 10-watt transmitter, which was really just an exciter for a higher-powered transmitter. But we had a four-bay turnstile antenna, which gave us about 39 watts of radiated power from a 100-foot-high antenna down on the top of the building in Mountain View.
Do you remember what kind of equipment was used to play back the music or the recordings?
Well, we had 16-inch Gates turntables. We had Weathers tone arms, which were very state-of-the-art. They were condenser tone arms. We had a Gates 10-watt transmitter. We had an RCA board, and I don't remember the microphone. Probably an Electro Voice microphone, as I recall. But that was, it was pretty. It's what we could afford. I think the microphone cost all of $55. The transmitter was $1,400. The board was $1,400 or $1,500.
So what do you think of, how would you contrast KFJC of then with what we have right now?
Oh my, what a difference. I mean, the station has grown in so many ways. I mean, just the number of students involved and alums that are involved is really neat. So many here today have been involved with the station for 20 plus years. That's amazing, as volunteers and so forth. The facilities are terrific. While they are cramped for sure, I'm sure that will change as funds are available to relocate the facility. But you got a lot more power. In fact, driving in from Nevada today, I picked up KFJC in Livermore, which is pretty good because when we started, we were just covering the district, Foothill College district. That was it.
Well, just for the record, one more time, what is your name and what is your role in the
station?
Oh,
okay. Well, I'm Bob Ballou, and I was a student here between 1956 and 58, 59, 60. Graduated in 60, and I was the founder, instigator, if you will, of KFJC back in those days.